The gold price is pretty volatile at the moment, but it's still very high compared to where we've been like 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, everybody was already excited on new discoveries, new companies, and especially new areas. The Yukon as an investment area popped up, I would say, really 2 years ago when we've seen really good discoveries there. And now with the gold price being basically double from where it have been 2 years ago, we see a story which is basically new, but not entirely new. We're talking about Blue Jay Gold, the newest IPO on the Yukon radar, but not without a resource or without money. It's the opposite. It is already having a resource. It's already having infrastructure in place, as we can see by the picture in the background, and we are already funded and the drills are turning. Today with me is Jordi Mark. He is the CEO of this entirely new company. Jordi, it's great to have you. You have been an analyst before you became into the, let's say, CEO role. So first of all, congratulations to the IPO. Are you happy with it?
Yeah, we're very happy, and thanks for the time today. Yeah, it's very exciting to get out there and be public, and be able to communicate a message on a new story into a range of audiences.
Perfect. So you have the presentation open already, and last time we talked a little bit more on the, let's say, broader macro picture of gold and mining stocks, and today we're going to go a little bit more into the details. So I'm really looking forward, and I will ask some questions in between if I think that's necessary, but otherwise the stage is yours, and I'm looking forward to the presentation.
Right, let's get through it. So, Blue Jay, very exciting new story, listed on TSXV, but also on Frankfurt Exchange, under the ticker Jay. We're very excited for this new story, and for us, it contains some of the important ingredients in terms of exploration or advanced explorers in safe jurisdictions on gold. And for us, that means, in this image, you have existing infrastructure around former production. So that's that's a former operating plant, it's a camp, technical services workshop, all the elements that go into facilitating exploration more easily. This is all underpinned by an existing resource, which is approaching 1 million ounces at really good grade, around about 8 grams. So good grade, great jurisdiction in Canada and in the Yukon. So we're very excited to be able to get out of the gate and start looking at exploration to expand the resource and find new discoveries on our package. Let's look at a snapshot of the company. Yeah, good resource base, coming up to 1 million ounces, good grade on a very large land package. And that's very important in terms of being able to have a footprint to be able to expand, use your geological knowledge that you generate over time to look for discoveries. And for us, we think we've got lots of runway, several years, a decade of exploration ahead of us to really come to grips with the geology of the system. Very excited. And key to us is to be in brownfields areas. And that is, we are a project that you can drive from a capital city. About a bit over an hour's drive from Whitehorse, south. That's important. And you've got the infrastructure already in place, so you don't need helicopter support, etc., for exploration. That's important when you're looking at general sort of backdrop for exploration globally. The other component is former production. That infrastructure is very important to enable, cheaper exploration in general. And for this year, out of the gate, we're already listed around about 2 weeks ago, already drilling. And we'll ramp up, another drill will be on site very soon. So a lot of news to come out. We've got up to a 16,000 meter program focused on two main aspects. One is resource expansion around existing resources, as well as, testing new targets for new discovery potential. And we're well funded, $14 million in the bank. Tight share structure, 47 million shares outstanding, and new out of the gate. So we expect a lot of catalysts over the next coming year on resources, exploration results. And we think ultimately we've seen the industry very interested in terms of companies that come out with resources and come out with exploration results on drilling. First gold bar that came with this project in '86, love gold, testament to the project in terms of capacity to develop a production scenario. Very tight share structure. Look, 47 million shares outstanding. Really good structure in terms of 33% institutional shareholders, as well as around about 50% high net worth individual. It's a great balance. Most of those high net worth individuals are out of Europe and also around Canada and the US. Coming into the Yukon and why it's special, Yukon over the last 18 months has really gone gangbusters in terms of exploration results and attraction in the area. And you'd know, most of the companies exploring, are well north of Whitehorse. Some of the fantastic sort of discoveries that have come out more recently are from Prospector. You'd have a look at those. White Gold doing well. Forte's up around about 1,000% over the last year with the acquisition of the Coffee resource, probably Yukon's next new gold producing asset. Banyan most recently gave a resource update and some new results in terms of high grade intersections only a couple of days ago. So it is a territory that has a lot of attention right now. We think that attention is going to grow with the programs and the results that are coming out. And really, it's almost getting to a critical mass, I think, in terms of exploration discovery potential and future production development potential as well. So we're very interested to be in that region. For us, in comparison to the other projects we talked about, we are here south of Whitehorse, which is the capital. Another project that has a good logistics around Whitehorse is Gladiator, and they've had some very good results too, copper focused. Very interesting news, and their equity has performed very, very well. So we like the territory, but for us, we are further south, very close to the capital city. Coming out of the gate, we think there are opportunities to re-rate. We have a high-grade resource base, approaching 1 million ounces, about 8 grams. We have over the last 18 months, we've been building the story in the background. Now it's the opportunity to have the tailwinds behind elevated commodity price and interest in equities in safe jurisdictions. Now the peers are out there; they're trading around about 150 an ounce. If we take safe jurisdiction assets here, we're trading at around about $19 an ounce. So we think there's an opportunity through communication to re-rate potentially on that basis. But also we have a second dimension to the re-rate, and that's in terms of delivering exploration results around resource expansion targets. This is very, very exciting, given that we were drilling, basically within a week after listing, a lot of action coming out. So very interesting story, lots of cash in the bank balance sheet, and drilling and news results to come.
How long will it take, Geordie, until we will see the first drill results? Can you say that already?
Yeah, I'd say ultimately late August, September would be conservative, and that kind of works really well. We've got a clear marketing strategy and communication strategy over the next 2 months. There's a whole range of other things to come out into the market. And then, as an equity, put the equity markets hat on, analyst hat. You have to be able to communicate a message into the market over time. So there's a clear marketing sort of strategy coming out, building into that narrative on results. We are the highest grade project in the Yukon, and that just puts us in a really good position in terms of our confidence to be able to expand the resource base with future drilling and probably phased drilling programs over time, several years. Importantly, we're the custodians of future production, and this is important in terms of where do we sit in the context of safe jurisdiction assets. So this is a Canadian gold scape, and Canadian gold assets on size, 1 million ounces on the x-axis, and the y-axis you're looking at grade with the 3 gram cutoff. For us, the gold squares are already in production today based on commodity prices that are, obviously materially lower than what we see in the markets. Everything to the right of that basically is either development or in production today, and we sit very well in terms of the context of existing producers. Now, we could run out of the gate and deliver a PEA, very soon based on what we have, but we think there's an opportunity to right scale any future PEA by ultimately, looking at 2-year scenario to look to, the target is to look to double the resource base over that time to be in a better position to understand what the right dynamics are and the right size of a future production center could be. So that's very exciting times. But we're not waiting for that to happen. We're starting the baseline work right now to be able to not lose any time in that data generation. So very exciting times. Take a back step. Last year and a half have been fantastic for producers because commodity prices run really well. So free cash flow, putting back cash on the balance sheet, very good. Being able to put into production, you delivered your cash flow through commodity price growth. I think the next couple of years are going to be about showing you have production growth potential, and that comes from asset acquisition to show that you can put assets into future production to show growth in that dimension. So I think the next couple of years will be a consolidation phase of non-producing assets, either into producers or like-minded companies merging to become larger entities. So it's a very exciting time for safe jurisdiction assets with grade. Looking into the Yukon, just zooming in, great jurisdiction. We think we're in a hidden pocket of the northwest corner of the western seaboard of North America. Easy drive from Whitehorse by highway and public road into site. It's a very large site. That's 170 square kilometers. It's 2 times the size of downtown Manhattan, 2 times the size of Zurich, 10 times the size of downtown Toronto. So it's a very large package to look to explore. That being said, it's a bit over an hour's drive from Whitehorse, so easy when you have to fix something. You drive into a capital city. 60 kilometers of crow flies from a US port, which we can get there by road or rail. A rail heads around about a 40-minute drive to a township called Carcross, where you can either get an active rail straight to port or drive. So these things are important when you're thinking about execution for exploration, but also thinking about if you're looking for a production scenario in the future, you could potentially have a labor force based in a community, which is quite differential from a remote location. But also you have the salient elements to make production decisions easier. You have, port, power crosses just out of the project, port, power, people, rail, road. All of those things are very tangible in terms of looking at economics and practicality. Coming into the project, why do we like it? Won't talk much into that. Drive into the project easy, like northeast, come in, camp and plant are already into place. We see 4 zones of mineralization, at least, tied into this. High-grade gold production in the past, high-grade gold silver zone. It's a 15-kilometer zone. We've got gold antimony in the eastern half that are structurally controlled, and in the western half, a whole series of a vein corridor that's never been drilled. High-grade gold, high-grade silver. So we're looking to just put this together over the next several years. It's so large that it's going to take a bit of time. But that being said, straight out of the bat, looking for resource expansion. What wasn't done before is, we applied magnetics, regional magnetics into the picture, which gives us, and then corrected it for topography, started inverting the data so we could see better at depth. We were able to put the third dimension into the exploration story. So it's very exciting to be able to start to put geology and structure into a large project. And this is exactly what large producers look at when they're looking to explore around existing production centers. Look at your production, grow your resources, look for new deposits. So we're very well positioned over the next several years to look to expand on resources. That being said, drilling right now, drilling on the Skookum Creek structural corridor, where we're looking for expansions of basically holes like this. These holes are obviously very good grades, good intervals, and we're looking to, these are all open in our mind, and immediately we've got the drill pads in place and we're drilling these. So very exciting times to be able to do step out drilling around grade. So for us, that means really good potential for resource expansion. A resource expansion, easily said here, this is the Skookum Creek resource. Colors, look at grade distribution. Gold colors are above 5 grams. Dark blue are between 1 and 5 grams. Our cutoff is 3 grams for the resource base, using a $2,900 gold price and $34 silver. So really conservative in those senses, relative to what we see today. It has underground development. This never went into production, so a lot of infrastructure already in place for us at our advantage. We're looking to immediately step out and look for resource expansion. This is to the north, to depth on grade, and to the south. To capture this is around about, if we take it from the southern end of Skookum Creek all the way to Racca, you're almost looking at a mile-long corridor of mineralization that's high-grade gold and silver, and that's within a 15-kilometer corridor itself. That has to be explored over time. So we're very excited to be able to put this together in terms of, stepping out, looking at what this high-grade silver looks like, bringing this into continuity, a long strike on this zone, and then looking at other styles of mineralization that we see at surface and testing those structurally to depth. So very exciting times to be able to bring zones into play. Contextually, though, 70% of dollars are going to go into resource expansion targets around gold. The other 30% sort of give us a balance for the future in terms of drill testing new targets that are under drilled or never drilled before, and then doing more work on tertiary targets to elevate those for future drilling potential in 2027 and beyond. And this is just a small component of what we see already. So it just sets that sort of roadmap as a framework year for long-term exploration on resource growth, but folding in new targets for discovery potential. So we're very excited by what this looks like, not only right now, but also in terms of the longer-term exploration picture. So very exciting times for the project. And then we'll just come into the summary. We think we're in a good term into bringing a new story out, tight share structure. We've got $14 million in the bank and puts us easily into next year in terms of balance sheet. We'll have lots of news flow coming out around a new high-grade story in a jurisdiction that has a lot more attention. Commodity price strength has worked really well and is still very good relative to operating margins. So we're very, very excited to be able to communicate a news story that's out there. We think we can catch a tailwind on communication to reevaluate to peer companies in safe jurisdictions. And I'll leave it there.
Perfect, Jordi. Thank you very much for guiding us through the presentation. And I think you showed already why we have this re-rating potential, right? I mean, not just compared to the peer group, but also you can now actually deliver new high-grade expansion of the resource. And I think that's what is really interesting. Let me just ask you one more additional thing. How important is the antimony component of the project for you going forward right now? Is it something you want to focus on, or is it just as a side effect for the future?
We see it as adding value for sure, and we'll put a modicum of attention on that. Obviously the main attention looks at gold. We've got a great resource base which will grow, but we can't ignore the antimony side. There's a critical element component of that, and in particular, being so close to a US port, but also US need. US needs what's called domestic supply, and interestingly enough, Canada is by act deemed as a domestic supplier into the US. So that adds another ingredient that we'll look at. We didn't really focus on it before the acquisition. We acquired this asset in September last year, 2025. But on the antimony side, this was the primary reason why people explored here in the 60s. And they did 500 meters of underground development, took out a 13-ton bulk sample for metallurgical work on comminution and flotation, produced premium quality concentrates between 55 and 65% antimony. So really a lot of disciplined work that was already done on this. So to do underground work and the metallurgical sort of studies, it puts this asset into a different territory from typical sort of just standard grassroots sort of follow-up work. So it would behoove us to try to develop more value for the shareholder out of this, this area on gold, but also in antimony.
Perfect, Jordi. Thank you so much for guiding us through the story. I'm really looking forward to see the first drill results, and I wish you best of luck for the drilling campaign and for the news flow ahead. And thanks for your time.
We're very excited. We're very excited. So yeah, looking forward to catching up with you during the whole process on exploration.
So do I. Thank you very much for your time, Jordi.
Great. Thank you.